I've mentioned this before in my videos, but back in the 90s and early 2000s, demos were quite a big thing. They seemingly came with every video game magazine back then. I can't even count the amount of games I played on demo discs that I actually eventually ended up begging my mum to buy for me. But of course, living in a house with a limited income, I didn't get every game I liked on a demo disc. There's probably more games that I liked on demo discs that I never got, but I have rooted deep in my brain slight memories of a bunch of games I played once and liked and never got until I was an adult collecting PS1 games. And the game I'm going to be talking about today, Destrega, is one of those games that I played as a kid on a demo disc and I never played again till now. I just had some vague memory of some cool game where you played as people that shot energy beams and magic at each other like it was Dragon Ball. It honestly took me ages to find out the name of this game. I was basically looking through every PS1 fighting game trying to find it.
But I finally found it, and it's glorious. It might honestly be the video game version of The Room because it's so bad it's good.
How was work today?
Oh, pretty good. We got a new client at the bank. We'll make a lot of money.
What client?
I cannot tell you. It's confidential.
Oh, come on, why not?
No, I can't. Anyway, how is your sex life?
Destrega is a very unique PS1 fighting game as most of the fighting is done at long range with projectile attacks. There's very little in the way of close range combat. Sure, there is close range fighting, but it's more of a last resort rather than the focus of the game. All the fights take place in these small arenas that the characters can basically free roam around in. And every level has different areas that you can use to help dodge your enemy's attacks, which becomes a big part of your strategy when you're going into a fight, because to be honest with you, there really isn't that much strategic depth in the projectile battling. Most of the attacks work on a rock paper scissors type system where each attack is strong and weak against other attacks. And like rock paper scissors, there's only 3 attack buttons, which are basically weak, medium and strong attacks like you will get in most fighting games. And this rock paper scissors system decides which attack is going to get through when you and your opponent fire projectiles off at the same time. There is a block, but it's pretty useless most of the time. And you have this meter under your health meter, which is basically your magic meter, so you can't just infinitely blast magic at your enemy. And when you're charging up your long ranged attacks, you can press multiple attack buttons to make your attack into a super mega ultra attack, which is pretty cool. But the fact that you can pull off all these crazy attacks by just hitting a few buttons makes the core gameplay so unsatisfying, because you just end up button mashing most of the time and running around like a madman, which honestly isn't that fun. And this isn't that surprising given that the guys who made this game, Omega Force, are the guys behind the Dynasty Warriors games. These guys are the kings of games where you just button mash. It reminds me of when you play Marvel vs Capcom and you put it on that mode where all the special moves can be pulled off by just hitting buttons. It just becomes a boring guessing game that's mostly based on luck. And that makes this game a very uncompelling fighting game. I mean, come on, you've essentially got 6 moves and a few projectile combos to use, and they all feel the fucking same. But the combat in this mediocre game isn't the main attraction. The main attraction is this game's story mode. Oh Jesus, are we in for a fucking classic campy PS1 time here. It's perfect, it's like a fine wine. I would honestly say this game is worth buying and playing just for this story mode. It made me cry laughing at one point because it's so poorly voice acted. It's just fucking gold. Well, let's get into this convoluted mess of a story mode. The story mode starts with this actually not that bad looking FMV sequence with a narrator pretty much summing up the backstory of this masterpiece. And even after listening to it multiple times, I honestly can't make heads or tails of it. But I get the gist of it. Some group of people called Strega,
No, not them.
give some magical objects or something to a small country of poor people for some reason that's not really explained, and then predictably the small country goes power mad and oppresses everyone. A small group of people oppressing the majority. Where have I heard that before? Then the story just jumps 1,000 years into the future. And then we get some more story, this time in text form, and it tells us that civilization has sprouted anew, and then there's a bunch of word salad bollocks in here.
What does any of this mean? It's like if I tried to write my own sci-fi novel or something.
And then the Space Giblins handed down the ancient scroll of Zeradai to Alex Jones, and he tried to inform the world of the scroll's knowledge. But the curse of Zedrafar made it so that everyone would just think he was a crazy bastard, and the world would not know the significance of the frogs turning gay.
I think it's done. I'm gonna be the next George R.R. Martin.
And apparently reveling at the new power, the men begin to plot conquest.
But what about the women? This game is racist, homophobic, sexist, and it's literally Hitler.
And to cut a long rambling story short, some guy called Zauber is now the big bad and there's a group of rebels trying to stop him and he's slowly hunting them down. You know what? This sounds very familiar as well. Then we meet the hero of this grand tale, Grad, and we get our first taste of the absolutely incredible voice acting.
Oh my god! The village!
What's with all the dramatic zooms? I love it. Ooh, toast is done. Oh, my fucking toast is burnt.
Oh my god!
10 out of 10 for voice acting, 10 out of 10 for lip sync. This game is perfect.
On Hilda!
I love the way he's calling out to her. It's like she's in the garden and she's got to come in for a dinner.
What happened?
I think you've already seen what's happened, you fucking muppet.
They're all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave.
And after Grad is done violently shaking his dead aunt's corpse around, a bad one turns up to kill him and he tells Grad they killed everyone for harbouring him. And old Grad doesn't like this.
Why did you kill them?
For harboring you. It is a crime punishable by death.
Mwah.
Then Grad proceeds to kill the shit out of this random soldier, and you'll be fighting this same generic troop enemy a lot throughout this story mode. And before we go on, I need to address the elephant in the room. You might have noticed that Grad looks like he has, well, breasts. But it's not just him, most of the men in this game have a lovely set on them for some reason. Maybe this land has a severe outbreak of, you know, this thing, the men tit disease.
I mean, I can't really judge. I'm a bloke with a nice set on him, but I'm just massively obese. I don't have
Booms.
Then on a cliff overlooking the village, Grad calls out to his fallen friends and he swears to get revenge on Zauber. Then some old guy and a girl in skimpy clothing that you know is going to be the love interest for Grad appear and they just want Grad to join them because they are gathering up Jedi. Destrega, so they can have a rebel army to take on Darth Vader, Zauber, and destroy the evil relics he possesses. And I don't know what it is, but the old guy always sounds like he's halfway through eating a biscuit when he delivers his lines.
Zauber has a great army. You don't stand a chance against him alone.
Okay, Dave, are you ready to record?
Yes, I'm ready.
You sure? You got a bit of biscuit there in your mouth. You want to finish that before we start?
No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Alright, if you say so.
Zauber has a great army. You don't stand a chance against him alone. How was that? Was that okay?
I don't get paid enough for this job.
On a quick side note, why is there such big awkward silences between a lot of the lines in this game? It seems to happen in every single cutscene.
Zauber already has all the relics. In order to defeat him, you must be prepared for many, many more days like this. There's more. Zauber's master relic is even more powerful than the ones you've seen so far. Even if you were able to reach him, you would not last long.
But old Grad turns down their offer and storms off, but they decide to follow him anyway. I'm glad Grad took Dio's advice. After that, we meet the villain of this piece, Zauber, for the first time, and he's getting reports from his generals. And it's all going good for the forces of evil. They've hunted down most of Destrega and now they're homing in on the resistance. And in an attempt to make it sound like the voice actors are in an echoey room, it sounds like they just made them stand further away from the mic and put a bit of reverb on.
Our next target is the resistance. Follow up.
Sire?
I want to know where the resistance is hiding and how many there are.
As you command.
Zauber, could you just, maybe get a little bit closer to the microphone?
And you've got to love the campy, terrible villain voice acting on Zauber. I kept expecting him to burst out into spontaneous villainous laughter after he finished every sentence. And what's with all the arse shots at the end of every one of his meetings? Did we really need to see these men's lumpy polygonal arses? Following this, we join the resistance who are now fighting Zauber's forces and, what's with this guy?
hell is wrong with your head? No one's head looks like that. See, look, look. Maybe it's Daddy Longneck or something.
Daddy Longneck today, and Dad looking like a fucking titty.
Then you get to play as Team as he fights this soldier, and we'll be playing as a lot of different characters throughout this story mode. You don't just play as Grad. After the battle, Team is informed by Daddy Longneck that all the enemies have been taken care of, then Daddy Longneck creepily scurries away.
Why is this guy so horrifying? He should be a fucking bad guy.
We then join Grad, who's gotten himself into a bit of a pickle fighting a bunch of Zauber's soldiers on his own. But of course, just before he's about to meet his maker, the girl from earlier shows up to save his dumbass. After Celia takes care of the soldiers, the old biscuit boy shows up and asks Grad to reconsider joining them, and he of course joins them, and the old man sends Grad and Celia off to contact the Resistance to see if they'll join up with them as well. But suspiciously, Rosen isn't going with them. I have a feeling that boy's up to something. You can never trust bald men with beards. And we're next back with Zauber, who's having a meeting with a total fox. And I absolutely love this moment.
The Resistance is all but wiped out in the Southern Territory.
Did her boob just violently jiggle at the slightest touch?
Southern Territories.
It did. What is this? Fucking Dead or Alive?
Southern Territory.
And Miss Bounce-A-Lot wants in on the fight because her father was killed by a Destrega, and this whole sequence could easily be the start of a bad porno.
I came because you seem to be having trouble.
Nothing that I cannot handle. In fact, I suspect that my troubles are almost gone.
I thought I would come to give you a hand.
We're almost done. My men are tending to any loose ends now.
You seem to forget just how good I am, Lord Zauber.
Well then, I will see that the proper preparations are made.
As you see fit. I will leave it in your capable hands.
Of course.
The next character we meet is Princess Angie, who's something to do with old bouncy tits, and she's trying to persuade her guard to spar with her, and once she threatens the poor bastard with the dungeon, he decides it's in his best interest to spar with her. And Angie is interesting because she has a pet along for the ride, and I don't know if it actually does anything, but it's there and it's an unholy abomination. What even is this thing? It's like some weird sentient leaf monster.
I don't know about you, but I am starving.
Then we're back with Grad and Celia, and they've managed to find the Resistance, and they're talking to their leader, Team, from earlier. And to boil down this long, boring scene, basically they want to form an alliance, but Team doesn't trust them, so he just turns them down. Back at Zauber's echoey room, he's again talking with his henchmen, and he's concerned about how popular Princess Angie is getting, and he basically wants her taken out. So he sends his men off to find a man named Doyle who he can get to take care of her. And we are again treated to arse shots of these two guys the whole time they're talking.
As you command.
Ugh. Why do they keep feeling the need to show these guys' arses off? Were they that proud of the work on these arses?
He earned quite a reputation for himself in the last war.
See that butt? Gary and Modlin spent 5 months working on that arse. Look at the definition. We definitely need to see this in every single scene that guy's in.
I'm a nice man.
They didn't do this camera angle when the foxy lady was in the scene, so it's gotta be just because they were so proud of these arses. But anyway, that's enough about arses. I just love the line that Zauber ends this scene with.
A very special job.
No, don't think I need to make a joke there. I think it speaks for itself.
Next we see Grad and Celia in a field, and Celia basically tells the whole story of Zauber's rise to power and all the backstory. You know, all the shit that was basically explained in the intro. This story mode is only 2 fucking hours and it still manages to have padding in it. It's ridiculous. And while she tells the story, images fly by their heads. And I don't know why, but I find this hilarious. I just think it's Grad's brain-dead face as the images go past. And we get information overload. Zauber basically tricked everyone into hating the Destrega, Celia and Grad's fathers both died fighting Zauber, and Celia has a brother and he's, surprise surprise, the blonde ass man from earlier. Riveting. But Celia's story time is interrupted by enemy troops. I love the way Grad ends this scene.
But I know that if he's alive somewhere, he would surely help us.
You're talking about the internet. You were derailing the conversation.
After they've taken care of the enemy troops, they hear fighting off in the distance and decide to go investigate. And the fighting they hear is of course the resistance that's getting its butt handed to it by one of Zauber's fine-arsed men. And you guessed it, Celia and Grad swoop in just in the nick of time to save Team, and this of course means he now trusts them. But he's worried about Daddy Longneck, who we now join, and he's been badly injured, and Foxy Lady just happens to come across him.
You don't look like you're from around here.
And she for some reason helps him and gives him food, water and supplies. After that we're again with Zauber, and one of his henchmen is telling him that the resistance is done and they've found Doyle, and Zauber wants him brought to him alive. Grad and Celia manage to get Team safely into a cave, and the first thought Team has is that he wants to spar with Grad. I thought he was mortally wounded, the fucking git. You actually play as Team in this battle. And after Team is finished bitch slapping Grad around, Rosen shows up to tell the gang that the resistance is destroyed. Hearing this, Team thinks it's a good idea to go get Doyle to help them because he's pretty much the only Strega left he can think of. You know, the guy Zauber's going after. How convenient. And Grad and Team set off to get Doyle. Meanwhile, Daddy Longneck is up to some shenanigans. Why did they design this character like this? And we jump back to Rosen and Celia again, and Rosen tells Celia that her long-lost brother is one of Zauber's higher-up generals. And upon hearing this, Celia freaks out and decides to go to Zauber's castle on her own so she can talk her brother out of being an evil git. Going to the enemy stronghold alone. What could possibly go wrong? The boys finally find Doyle and he doesn't want to help them, he just wants to live out in the woods peacefully with his son. So Grad and Team give up on him, and Team goes to warn Angie about Zauber, and Grad goes back to the others. And Doyle gets a visit from Zauber's men, and you can probably figure out what's going to happen next. They've kidnapped his son to force him to go have an audience with Zauber, and Celia, who's on her way to Zauber's castle, gets ambushed by the Foxy Lady. And after a quick battle, Celia manages to escape. Then Doyle is brought before Zauber, and Zauber of course blackmails him into killing Angie for him. And as soon as Doyle leaves, Zauber tells his henchman to ensure Doyle is killed after he's finished the job. And this plan will also get Foxy Lady out of the way. She'll be killed for failing to protect Angie. And after the coast is clear, it's revealed that Rosen was working with Zauber this whole time, surprising no one. And as soon as Rosen leaves the room, Zauber straight up says he's gonna kill him too. God, I love this guy. He's just a fucking evil cliche. Couldn't he at least wait until the person he's going to kill is definitely out of the room before he starts monologuing about how he's going to kill them? God, this game is so silly. Before the scene is over, we see that Daddy Longneck is spying on Zauber. Then we join Doyle's son Reyes, who's having a bit of a chinwag with Celia's brother in his dungeon cell. And Fulmer uses some mind shit to explain to Reyes why he's with Zauber.
Then why do you work for Zauber?
Words are so clumsy. Here, let me show you.
Was that shot of his junk entirely necessary? Were they trying to simulate what having a dwarf cameraman would be like? Oh wait, you can't say that anymore. Vertically challenged cameraman?
You better watch your microaggressions, bro!
I really don't get what's going on in this game half the time. Grad returns to the cave where Rosen and Celia were, but he finds they're gone, and Melina is waiting for him there. Yeah, that's her name. I'm going to start using her name now. She's not Foxy Lady anymore. For some reason, they fight, but before they can kill each other, Daddy Longneck interrupts them.
Stop! Both of you, listen to me.
Why are his arms so long? He's like a fucking gorilla.
And Daddy Longneck tells them that Rosen is working with Zauber, and Zauber is planning to invade his land after he's finished conquering whatever land this is. And Melina finds out that she'll be killed when Angie is killed, so she decides to help them. This plot is so convoluted. Grad goes to find Celia, and Daddy Longneck goes to help Team. Then we join that idiot Celia, who's at Zauber's castle, and she of course gets her ass handed to her. Who would have thought attacking the enemy main stronghold on your own would be a bad idea? Ooh. But before she can get taken away by a guard, Falmer steps in and blasts the guard. Following this, we see Doyle has finally made it to Princess Angie, but before he can kill her, Team makes it just in the nick of, Team? Doyle kicks Team's ass and he gets back to child murdering. But before he can, he's again interrupted, this time by Daddy Longneck and Melina, and they tell him he's being set up. No fucking shit. The gang all make up and then they team up to take on Zauber. Apart from Daddy Longneck, they leave him with the little girl. There's no fucking way in hell I would leave that ungodly horror with a child. And Grad on his way to Zalba's castle runs into Rosen in some cliffs, and predictably Grad gets ambushed by some troops. Then Rosen fucks off back to Zalba and he jumps the gun a bit and says the last Strega is dead even though he didn't see what happened. I mean, at this point Rosen has seen Grad take down countless troops and he thinks 2 soldiers is really what's gonna fucking stop him. Fucking twat. And of course Rosen is finally killed by Zalba and he tells Rosen why he's killing him.
Surely you haven't forgotten. Think back. What happened to the first Strega that gave the relics to man? Come now, you must remember. He was killed by men like me. Really, you should have paid more attention.
So he's killing Rosen because that's what happened in the past with different people. That makes no fucking sense. At least he's got his evil walk down. I mean, look at that. Arms behind the back, chest puffed out. Beautiful.
And now Doyle and the gang have finally reached Zalba's castle. And this scene honestly might be my favourite moment in gaming history. This bit made me cry laughing because it was so bad. And now, here, for your viewing pleasure, this scene. Enjoy.
Reyes! It's me, Reyes, your father! You've never hurt a soul in your life. This isn't you. Break the spell, son. Fight it!
Whoa, hold up a second. What the fuck is Grad doing there? From the camera angle it looked like he was just standing in the corner watching the whole time. Why didn't he intervene? He was probably too busy licking windows.
What? Father? Father, wake up!
Reyes, you broke the spell. You're back.
Father! How did... Oh, what have I done? What have I done?
Doyle, what happened?
Motherfucker, you saw what happened. You were standing 12 feet away. Oh God, this boy's got me shook.
My father is...
You... Is that you, Grad? Please. Take Reyes somewhere. Somewhere safe.
Father!
Don't worry. He'll be safe with me.
Thank you. Reyes. So much like your mother.
Father! Father!
That scene is fucking amazing. That coughing is on point. That voice actor needs some sort of voice acting Oscar for this fucking performance. And I love that his last words are...
Reyes. So much like your mother.
I guess it makes sense. He does have...
boobs. Team kills one of Zalba's generals, then Melina confronts Zalba and he reveals that he was the one that had Melina's father killed. And I just love her reaction.
Just like I had your father killed.
Zalber!
The way she said that made it seem like an 80s sitcom catchphrase.
What you talking about?
Zalber!
And they, as you would expect, fight, but Melina gets her ass kicked, then Grad steps in to kill Zalba once and for all, and we can finally end this abomination of a story mode.
Where is Rosen?
In hell, I assume.
After Zalba is defeated, Falmer comes in and tells Grad not to destroy the Master Relic. Basically because if they destroy the Master Relic, they'll lose their powers. And they apparently need their powers because it's the Strega's duty to keep all the peasants in line with their powers, but Grad, being the Luke Skywalker that he is, turns down Falmer's deal. This really is pretty much just Star Wars, isn't it? Zalba's like Darth Vader, Falmer's like the Emperor. Anyway, after Grad beats Falmer's ass, he realises he can't destroy the relics because he doesn't know the word he has to say to destroy it. That's when Celia steps in and tells him the magic word, And you guessed it, this is fucking beautiful, right? The magic word is Destrega. Oh, I see what you did there. And then Grant shouts,
Destrega!
and then that's it. The credits roll and this game is done. And it might have sounded like it was a lot, but like I said earlier, that was literally 2 hours of gameplay. But it's almost worth playing just because of how terrible yet entertaining the story mode is. I honestly haven't laughed like this over a game in ages. This game needs to become a cult hit like The Room, based purely on this terrible, comical story mode. Anyway, I hope you had as much fun as I did. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.